Brother thought it was so funny to make cruel jokes about my wife diagnosed with last stage of terminal illness, and joked about my plans to move on with another woman in front of her. So I ruined his wedding day without a second thought. My wife is currently in the final stage of cancer. She has been receiving chemotherapy to try and fight the cancer, but sadly it hasn't made much difference. The treatments have been tough on her and there hasn't been much improvement. It's so difficult to even put into words how much pain and suffering she has endured through all of this. Every day has been a struggle for her and it breaks my heart to see her go through so much. My daughter and I have been holding on to hope and praying constantly that she will get better. We pray for her strength, for healing, for comfort in these hard times. But deep down, we know that the chances of her recovering are very small. It's hard to stay hopeful when the situation feels so heavy and uncertain. But we keep trying to believe in the possibility of a miracle. The sadness we feel is overwhelming, but we hold on to each other as a family, doing our best to support her and stay strong. Lately, my wife has been talking more and more about what she wants me to do after she's gone. Every time she brings up these conversations, it breaks my heart. It's so hard to hear her speak about a future without her in it. Even though I know she means well, she tells me that she wants me to move on, to date again, and maybe even get married someday. She worries about what will happen to me and our daughter when she's no longer here to take care of us. Even though she is facing such a difficult battle, she still thinks about our happiness and what's best for us after she's gone. She wants us to have a life full of love and joy, even if it's without her. Hearing her say those things just makes me feel sad. I have told her over and over again that she is the love of my life. There is no one else I could ever imagine being with or caring for the way I care for her. When I think about the future, I only see her. I don't even want to think about dating anyone else. My heart belongs to her. And it hurts so much that life might take her away from me. It feels so unfair. And sometimes I find myself wondering why God would let something so cruel happen to us. All I ever wanted was to grow old together, to share a lifetime of memories and moments with her by my side. I dreamed of watching our daughter grow up together, of celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, and all the small joys life could bring. But now I face the painful possibility that those dreams might never come true. It's hard to accept that the future I imagine may be slipping away and that the person I love more than anything might not be here for much longer. The thought of living without her feels unbearable. What makes all of this even harder is the way my family has been reacting to my wife's illness. While they do acknowledge that it's a sad situation, they seem more focused on what comes after, on how I should start thinking about my future without her. My parents have been encouraging me to start moving on as if it's something that can or should be done quickly. My mom has even made subtle comments that because of my looks, some of her friends are interested in introducing me to their single daughters. It's as if she's already thinking ahead to a life where my wife is no longer part of the picture. Even worse, my dad and my brother have been making light of the whole situation. They've been joking that once my wife is gone, I'll finally be free of my mop phase and that I can join them for bar nights again, as if the loss of my wife is something I'll just bounce back from. Their comments have been thoughtless and hurtful, and they've made me feel even more alone in my grief. They don't seem to understand that this isn't something I can just move on from. When I shared with my family that my wife has been encouraging me to date again after she's gone, I expected them to be surprised or even a little emotional. Instead, they seemed almost thrilled by the idea. Their reaction caught me completely off guard. Rather than showing understanding or respect for the depth of the situation, they treated it like some exciting opportunity for me to start fresh, as if my wife's illness and our years of love could just be neatly set aside. My brother even went as far as to say he'd be happy to help me find girls and then made a crude comment about how young girls are all the rage these days. That was the moment I snapped. I yelled at him to shut up. I reminded him that I am not like him. That I don't think like that and I never have. My love for my wife runs too deep. We've been together since high school and she was my first real love. The only woman I ever went to prom with and the person I imagine spending the rest of my life with. I can't even begin to imagine dating someone else, let alone someone younger. That kind of fixation makes no sense to me. I'm not interested in starting over with someone new just because others think I should. My heart is still with my wife. I love her. I respect her. And it's painful to see how lightly my family is taking this. As if love is something you can just move on from, like changing clothes. They just don't understand. This week has been especially hard. My wife's condition has taken a turn for the worse. She's weaker now, and each day feels more fragile than the last. My family came over recently to visit her. We were all sitting together sharing small talk and trying to keep things light for her sake. And then out of nowhere, my brother brought up something that caught me completely off guard. In front of everyone, he asked if it was true that my wife wanted me to move on after she passed away. I was stunned. I couldn't believe he would bring up something so personal and so painful in that setting, especially with her right there and in such a delicate state. I just sat there for a moment, not even sure how to respond. It felt completely inappropriate and deeply insensitive. Why would he bring that up now? Why would he choose that moment in front of family, in front of her to talk about something that I'm barely able to process myself. This isn't the time for those discussions, especially not like that, not casually, not publicly, and not without care. When my brother asked that question, my wife gave a soft sheepish smile and quietly admitted that yes, she had told me those things. She said she wanted me and our daughter to have the best life possible, to keep living, to be happy, and to carry on even if she couldn't be with us. She spoke with so much love even in her weak state, trying to ease the weight of the grief she knows I'm already carrying. It was a moment that should have been met with silence, with respect, or even just a simple nod of understanding. But instead, my brother, standing there in front of my dying wife, chose to turn it into a joke. He said he was really tired of all these hospital visits and hoped that my next wife would at least be the kind who could take me out and have some fun. I was frozen in place, completely stunned by what I had just heard. My jaw clenched in anger. My wife just gave a sheepish smile and in her gentle way tried to lighten the mood. She assured him that she too hoped I'd find happiness again someday. I could tell she was trying to stay strong, to be gracious, even when the moment didn't deserve it. But I also saw something flicker in her expression, a subtle look of sadness, like his words had landed deeper than she let on. Then my brother, clearly not reading the room, or the emotion in her eyes, went on to say how, with my good looks and build, he was definitely going to help me move on with another woman. He said it like it was a joke, something to laugh about, but there was nothing funny about it. My wife let out a soft laugh. Probably just to keep the peace or avoid more tension, but I could tell it stung. She's already giving everything she is just to be here with us, to face each day with dignity. And to hear people speak so lightly about her being replaced felt deeply unfair to her and to the life we built together. My heart broke for her. I couldn't believe he would say something so disrespectful, especially right in front of her. This is the woman I love who has given everything to our family, who is still fighting with every ounce of strength she has. And instead of honoring that, he was making jokes. Later, when I had a moment alone with my brother, I confronted him, angry, hurt, needing him to understand just how wrong he had been. But instead of showing any remorse, he brushed it off. He said he was just joking around like it was no big deal. Worse, he tried to justify it by saying my wife didn't seem to have a problem with it. As if her trying to keep the peace and not cause tension meant that what he said was okay. He completely missed the point. My wife didn't laugh with him because it was funny. She laughed because she's gracious, because that's the kind of person she is. Even when people don't deserve her kindness, and the fact that he couldn't see that, couldn't even try to understand why his words were hurtful, only made me realize just how insensitive he can be. Later that evening, after my family had left, I went back to check on my wife. When I walked into the room, I found her sitting there quietly, tears slipping down her cheeks. She wasn't sobbing or making a sound, just silently crying like she had held it all in for as long as she could. That image will stay with me forever. She had put on such a brave face earlier in front of my brother, laughing along, pretending everything was okay. But now that she was alone, the pain was finally showing. I sat down next to her, my heart breaking all over again. I told her how sorry I was for what my brother said, for how thoughtless and hurtful it had been. I told her she didn't deserve to be spoken to that way, especially not in the state she's in. But even through her tears, she brushed it off. She said she wasn't hurt and that he didn't say anything wrong, but I could see it in her eyes. She was hurt. Not just by the words themselves, but by the way people around her were already talking about life without her, like she was somehow fading into the background before she'd even gone. Lately, I've noticed her crying more often. She seems sadder than usual, and every time I see her like that, it hurts. I feel like it's my fault. Yes, my brother should never have brought up such a sensitive topic the way he did, especially not in front of her. His words were thoughtless and careless. But at the same time, I keep going back to the fact that I'm the one who told them. I thought I was just sharing something honest, something meaningful that my wife had told me, something that showed her heart. I believed my family was a safe space. I thought they would respond with understanding, with compassion. I never imagined they'd take something so sacred and turn it into jokes. So, Ida here, please be honest. Update 1. Thank you all so much for your kind and thoughtful comments. I don't usually post on Reddit, so I wasn't sure what to expect, but I've been deeply touched by the compassion and support from this community. It means more than I can express right now. I won't lie, I do struggle with survivor's guilt. It's something I carry every single day. Watching the person I love most in this world slowly fade while I continue on feels unbearable at times. I ask myself, why her and not me? There's no answer. And that silence is one of the hardest things to live with right now. All of our energy financially, emotionally, and physically is going into her care. We don't have much left to spare. And therapy, while it would probably help, just hasn't been an option between hospital visits, treatments, and just trying to hold everything together. I haven't had time or space to look after my own mental health. But I know I need to. I think that's part of why I came here, just to let some of it out. I also understand from everyone's comments that my brother definitely crossed the line. I guess I needed to hear it from other people who aren't so close to the situation. When you're dealing with so much pain and stress, it's hard to see what is right and what is wrong. Now I see clearly that my brother was wrong to talk to my wife like that, especially when she is so sick and weak. It wasn't just a bad joke or bad timing. It was hurtful and disrespectful. My wife deserved kindness and care, not those kinds of words. He should never have brought up such a sensitive topic in front of her or made jokes about it. Update 2. It's been almost 4 months since my last update, and 2 months ago my wife passed away. The pain of losing her has been overwhelming. Life feels incredibly hard and empty without her. Every day feels like a struggle just to keep going. What's made this even harder is the way my family has been acting since she passed. In the first week after her death, they gave me some space, which I appreciated because I needed that time to grieve. But starting the second week, their behavior changed. They've been pushing me nonstop to move on, to go out and meet another woman, as if the loss of my wife is something I can just get over quickly. My mother has come to my house multiple times telling me that my daughter needs another mother figure, but that's not how my daughter feels at all. We've talked about it many times and she's never expressed wanting or needing anyone else to replace her mom. This isn't something that can be rushed or decided for us by others. It's incredibly painful that in the middle of this grief, I feel pressured by my own family to start a new chapter before I'm ready, before my daughter is ready. My wife was more than just my partner. She was the heart of our family. Losing her is not something we can move on from overnight, and we need time and space to heal in our own way. My brother's behavior has continued to be a major source of pain. Even though I've been avoiding him as much as possible, he hasn't stopped with his crude, perverted jokes. But recently, he crossed a line that I never expected. He actually went so far as to hire strippers for me. Yes, it sounds unbelievable, but this is exactly what happened. He lied to me saying that he and my dad wanted to come over for a simple guys' night. He suggested that I send my daughter to stay with my mother for just one night so that we could have some time to relax, drink beer, play video games, and hang out like old times. I agreed to my brother's idea at first because I thought it might be a good way to take my mind off things for a little while. After everything that's been happening, I really needed some kind of distraction, something to break the heavy silence and the constant sadness that fills the house. So when he suggested a simple guys' night with beer and video games, I thought okay, maybe this could help me relax and get a bit of normalcy back, even if just for a few hours. But what I didn't know was that he had made plans behind my back. Plans that I never would have agreed to if I had known the full truth. Turns out he decided to invite a few strippers to the house without even asking me. I was shocked and deeply unsettled when I found out. It was a blatant disrespect to me, my daughter, and the memory of my wife. This wasn't just a joke. It was a total disregard for how serious and painful this time is for me. I felt deeply betrayed and hurt. How could he think this was appropriate or acceptable? How could he believe that after everything this would somehow help me? This wasn't support. It was pure disrespect. Just to be clear, my brother is currently in a serious relationship with his girlfriend. They've been talking about getting married, planning a future together. So, it didn't make sense to me at all why he would behave this way, inviting strippers to my home without my permission while he's committed to someone else. He and Dad were practically brimming with excitement and kept telling me proudly how they had planned this surprise for me. They kept emphasizing how they hoped I would see it as a beautiful gift, trying to build up the moment with their enthusiastic smiles, but honestly, I was not interested. And it quickly became clear that they were having way more fun than I was. My brother had also bought a Polaroid camera, which he was using to take pictures with the strippers. It was absolutely disgusting. What caught my attention even more was how unusually close my brother was acting with one of the girls who was there. It felt almost too familiar, like they had some kind of secret history. They exchanged knowing looks and whispered quietly, which made me suspicious. Later on, he led that same girl into the guest room, and they stayed there for hours. I have no idea what they did behind the closed door, but I'm pretty sure we can guess what they were up to. Later, after the party had ended, I discovered something that made my blood boil. My brother had actually invited his ex-girlfriend along with her stripper friends to our house. It wasn't just some harmless get-together. She was the one who gave him a lap dance right there, and they both acted like it was completely normal, as if they were still very close. The realization hit me hard. My brother had basically cheated on his partner under the guise of giving me a fun night. It felt like a deliberate betrayal. Maybe this was all part of his plan from the start to find a way to be with his ex again. Using me and my grief as the perfect excuse. The whole situation left me furious and deeply disappointed. When I finally confronted my brother about what had happened, he completely brushed me off. He acted like it was no big deal, saying things like, "These things happen," and tried to downplay the whole situation. I urged him to be honest with his partner and come clean, but he snapped back, telling me it was none of my business how he handled his own relationship. I was stunned. I couldn't understand how he could be so casual about cheating, treating it like something insignificant. Feeling frustrated, I even brought the issue up with my father, hoping he would take it seriously. But to my shock, Dad didn't seem very concerned either. It was like neither of them saw the betrayal for what it truly was, and that made the whole situation even more painful to process. And if you're wondering whether my mother was unaware of the party, you'd be mistaken. She knew all about it. In fact, she was part of the plan as well. It felt like the whole thing was orchestrated behind my back, which made the betrayal sting even more deeply. After everything that happened, I don't think I'll ever be able to trust my brother again. The way he acted, the lies and the disrespect towards his partner and towards me by dragging me into it all have changed how I see him completely. Honestly, I don't even want to be associated with him anymore. Update 3. It's been a few months since I last shared an update. My brother's getting married. Yes, he's marrying the very same woman he's been with all along and cheated on behind her back. For anyone wondering, I never told his partner about that night at my house. The night he spent with his stripper ex. I had hoped he would eventually come clean to her on his own, but clearly that hasn't happened. It's frustrating and disappointing to see him moving forward as if nothing ever happened. For some context, ever since that whole incident unfolded, I consciously distanced myself from my brother. Our contact has been minimal. I hardly speak to him anymore. When I do, it's strained and awkward at best. Both he and Dad think I'm overreacting, that maybe I'm making too big a deal out of something that in their eyes isn't worth all this tension. But honestly, I just don't care what they think. The way my brother betrayed his partner and how my family has mostly brushed it off really hurt me. That said, I've made up my mind about one thing. While I can't stop his partner from going through with the wedding or force her to see the truth, I refuse to stay silent. She deserves to know what really happened, especially since it's her future on the line. I'm planning to send her some undeniable photo evidence, Polaroid pictures that clearly show my brother receiving a lap dance from his ex-stripper right there at my house that night. It's a harsh truth, but one she has the right to see. After that, it's entirely up to her to decide how to handle it. I can't control her choices, but I won't be complicit by keeping this secret any longer. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Update 4. It's been a while since I updated anything here. People have been asking me for updates, and finally, here I am. Recently, my brother invited me to his wedding. After everything that had happened, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go, but I decided this might actually be the perfect moment to finally expose him and let the truth come to light. I felt like if I stayed silent any longer, I would be complicit in letting him get away with his betrayal. So, when I arrived at the venue, I had a plan. I had bought a beautiful bouquet of flowers to give to my soon-to-be sister-in-law. But tucked discreetly inside the bouquet was an envelope. Inside that envelope were the photographs, clear, undeniable evidence of my brother's reckless and indiscriminate behavior, including the night he received a lap dance from his ex-stripper right at my house. Here's the twist. Instead of signing my own name, I signed the envelope with the name of my brother's ex. I then asked a staff member to hand the bouquet to my brother's wife and make sure she checked out the envelope. Whether my brother's bride believed it or not, or what she will do next is beyond me, but at least she will know the truth about my brother. Later, the marriage kept getting delayed. The bride simply wasn't ready to walk down the aisle. It was obvious to everyone that something was wrong. Word got around that she had seen the envelope I had slipped to her and that the photographs inside had shaken her deeply. The excitement and anticipation that usually fill a wedding venue were replaced by an uncomfortable tension hanging in the air. Then after what felt like an eternity, one of the bride's sisters came into the venue and quietly pulled my brother aside. She told him to meet his bride in a private room because she had something important to say to him. I wasn't privy to their conversation, but it was clear from my brother's face afterward that whatever they talked about had hit him hard. When he came back, he was a mix of anger and distress. He was visibly upset, even crying. In front of all the guests, he confronted me directly and demanded to know if I had really sabotaged his wedding by sending those pictures to his partner. The moment was charged with raw emotion, and everyone was stunned by the confrontation. I didn't hesitate. I looked him straight in the eyes and told him, yes, I had done it. I wanted his partner to know exactly the kind of man she was about to marry. That confession seemed to push him over the edge. He started yelling at me, his voice rising and full of anger. He got right up in my face, shouting so loudly that the entire room went quiet. His voice was filled with venom and self-righteous anger. You just can't stand to see me happy, can you? Just because your wife died doesn't mean you get to ruin my life, too. This isn't about the truth or doing what's right. This is about you being bitter and alone and trying to drag everyone else down with you. You're just pathetic. For a moment, the words stunned me. I couldn't believe how low he was willing to go. But I didn't flinch. I looked him straight in the eye and said coldly, no. My grief doesn't justify what you did, and it sure as hell doesn't excuse it either. You cheated. You lied. And instead of owning up to it, you're as usual turning it on me. I didn't ruin your wedding. You did that all on your own. Then, without thinking twice, he stepped dangerously close, invading my personal space. His face only inches from mine as he tried to intimidate me, but I refused to back down. My father had to step in. He pulled my brother away, trying to calm him down and prevent the situation from escalating further. After a while, the bride came out and informed everyone that she wasn't going to go through with the wedding. After everything that had come to light, after seeing the photographs and confronting the reality of who my brother truly was, she was choosing to walk away. The ceremony was officially called off. Guests whispered, confused, uncomfortable, while my brother stood there humiliated and furious with nothing left to say. For once, he had to face the consequences of his actions without someone else cleaning up the mess for him. My parents were furious with me. They didn't care about what my brother had done or the lies he had built his relationship on. All they saw was that I had embarrassed the family and ruined a special day. My mother wouldn't even look me in the eye. My father pulled me aside and said in a tone colder than I'd ever heard from him, "You had no right. This wasn't your place." But it was my place to tell a hard truth that had to be told, no matter how messy or painful it was. I hadn't set out to destroy anyone's day. I had only wanted to make sure someone else didn't walk blindly into a lifetime of lies. A few days after that chaotic day, my brother's would-be wife called me. I wasn't sure why she was even calling me. Part of me thought maybe she was calling to vent or to find closure, but what she said left me both stunned and heartbroken. She first began by thanking me genuinely. She said that had I not sent her that envelope, she would have walked down the aisle without ever questioning who my brother really was. She told me how when she confronted him privately with the photos, he finally broke down and admitted everything, not just about that one night, but about other incidents she had long suspected but never confirmed. After calling off the wedding, she had decided to get tested for sexually transmitted infections. It turns out she has tested positive for HIV. I couldn't believe it. She said because of my brother, she now has to be on medication for the rest of her life. I feel so sorry for her.